seventh grade. Welcome back. Happy Tuesday. Today is April 21st, and let's go ahead and dive in with some math notes. Go ahead and set up your notes like I have done already. Today we're going to solve two-step inequalities in this form, really similar to that form of the equation, that two-step equation, except instead of an equal sign, it could be any of our four inequality symbols. So I drew a greater than sign, but you'll also see, of course, less than, greater than or equal to, and less than or equal to within your practice today. But this form of the equation, the inequality will be exactly the same. Note that you will see some negatives in here as well, or maybe some subtraction. Okay. Yesterday we were working on just one-step inequalities, and we were finding a solution set for the inequality and then showing that on a number line, as well as with an inequality statement like x is less than or equal to -2. Today we're just building on that by upping the algebra that it takes in order to get to the answer. One important thing to keep in mind is that just like yesterday, still when we multiply or divide by a negative number, we need to flip that inequality symbol. And you will need to do that in your practice and in this lesson today, so look out for those. Let's dive into our first question. I'm going to give you 2.5 minutes to read and answer this question, and I'll do it alongside with you. Time starts now. So we are about 30 seconds in. You've noticed that there is subtraction within this inequality. So your first step is to do the inverse operation of that. The inverse operation of subtraction is addition. We have under 1.5 minutes remaining. Once you find your solution, go ahead and double check your algebra, then draw the graph yourself before selecting your answer choice from the screen. Last 45 seconds. Go ahead and wrap up your number line graph and then select the graph that matches yours. If you don't find the graph that matches your solution, then you made an error when you were solving. So go back to your inequality and check your algebraic steps. All right, let's go ahead and review our answer. Awesome. Here are my, here are my steps. My solution was v is less than 3. I did not need to flip the inequality symbol in this problem. Why not? Yes, I'm sure you got it. I did not need to multiply or divide by a negative number in this problem. I ended up dividing by a positive number because this was a positive for v. So I keep my inequality symbol the same. Here's the graph that represents my solution. It matches C. Go ahead and give yourself a big star next to number 1 if you got that right on your own. Really nice job. One thing I want to point out is about solutions. You'll see on your independent practice today, one of those questions that says, which of these numbers are a solution to the inequality? So I just want to review that now. What if I said, could a solution be 0? Yes, a solution could be 0 because when I substitute 0 into my inequality, I get a true statement. 0 is less than 3. What about 10? Could 10 be a solution? No, 10 could not be a solution. Why? I'm going to substitute 10 in for v. Is 10 less than 3? No, so 10 is not a solution, but 0 is. Can you write another example of a solution to this inequality? Excellent. Any value that is less than 3 would be a solution, including all of the negative numbers. Awesome. Let's try the next question. All right, this one you're going to solve on your own. When you're done, if you have extra time, go ahead and graph the solution. 2.5 minutes starts now. You'll notice this inequality has addition in it. So our inverse operation, your first step, should be subtraction. All right, we are just about halfway through our time. Did you remember that when you multiply or divide by a negative number, you need to flip the inequality symbol? If you did, awesome work. If you did not, go ahead and remind yourself of that rule now. Maybe jot a note on your paper. Fix your work. You've got 1 minute and 24 seconds left. Last minute. Thirty seconds remaining. Go ahead and check your work so that if you got it on your own the first time, you can give yourself a star on your paper. I love seeing those when you turn in pictures of your notes. All right, there's our time. Let's go ahead and check out the solution. Here's my solution for number 2. Go ahead and check your paper. Did you subtract 6 on both sides? Awesome. Check that you kept your negative sign in front of 2x when you are working algebraically. Your next step would then be to divide by -2 on each side. One common mistake here is to accidentally drop that negative sign and just divide by 2. If you do that, you get the wrong solution. You've got to divide by -2 since that's the coefficient. And the most important part of this that I want you to take away from this video, because you'll need it for your independent practice today, watch what happens to the inequality sign once I divide by -2. You'll notice on my next line of work, I flipped that symbol. Let's go ahead and jot a note about why so that you have this to reference as you continue your work today and this week. Okay. Next to where you flipped that inequality symbol where you wrote your solution, I want you to write why you did that. So I'm gonna write flipped because I, in this problem, divided by a negative number. Whoops, sorry. There's a lot of really good videos on YouTube about why this is true. So when you're done with this lesson, if you want to go investigate a little more about why, that's the rule. We've gone over it a few times in class and in this online class, but YouTube is a really great resource. A ton of math teachers post a video just like that. Alrighty. Your answer to question 2 is going to go in your Google form, but I want you to pay really careful attention. I want you to practice typing this symbol the same way that you're going to need to in your independent practice, okay? In your independent practice, you only have the keys on your keyboard. And unless you have some kind of specialized keyboard, there's no greater than or equal to symbol on your keyboard. So what we have to do is combine 2 symbols. How many symbols? Yeah, 2 symbols. What we're going to do is type a greater than symbol, which is on the same key that the period is on. And then we're going to put a slash next to it. And that's, for us, going to represent greater than or equal to. Okay, so let's go into your Google form. In question 2 from the video, I want you to write your solution. X is greater than or equal to -2. Notice I didn't put any spaces here. Can you pause the video and enter your answer this way? Awesome. On your independent practice today, it's on assessments. And so if you type in the answer incorrectly, it's going to take away some of your credit. So I want to triple check that this is how we're going to write in our answers in assessments today, unless it's, of course, a multiple choice question. There is a reminder in assessments. I'll show you. There is a reminder for how to write your answer. So if you want a less than or equal to sign, you write the symbol like this, less than or equal to, just that slash to show that line underneath, okay? Same thing for greater than or equal to, just like we practiced, okay? If you have tech trouble, just drop in at office hours at 3:15, and me or Miss Russell will be happy to help you out. Let's try question 3. For question 3, I'm going to bump our time down, and I want to start this one together. Okay, so go ahead and find a spot on your paper for question 3. Okay, go ahead and copy 29 minus 4m is less than or equal to -7. Okay, the reason that I want to start this one together is because, did you notice that the variable term is the one that is being subtracted? Yes, so that means if I want to start solving and getting that variable term by itself, I know that I'm going to end up with a negative variable term, like a -4m. And I see that this 29 is actually positive. One way that it helps me to visualize this and know what to do algebraically is actually to change my subtraction to adding the opposite. Go ahead and do that with me for this question. That helps me see that 29 is positive and -4m is negative. And now I know what to do, what operation to do to undo that add 29, okay? You will see a question like this on your independent practice, so make sure you have that strategy in your back pocket while you're working, okay? I'm gonna bump our time down because we're getting really good at this. I'm gonna bump this down to 2 minutes. Go ahead and start. I can't wait to see all your careful checking. I forgot to give you a reminder to put a star on your paper next to number 2 if you had gotten it right. We'll see who's 3 for 3 after this problem. 1.5 minutes left. Careful with those negative rules. I'm noticing -7 minus 29 Think really carefully, maybe rewrite that number sentence to try and figure out the answer to that expression. Last 30 seconds. Read over your work one more time once you've found a solution. Look out for all those tricky places where we make mistakes, that subtraction or division. All right, I cannot wait to see how you did. Let's take a look. Awesome. So here's an example of some work that I predict one of you put on your paper. I wish I could actually see your papers, but here we are. We knew to subtract 29 on both sides, so therefore we knew that negative 4m was less than or equal to negative 36. Go ahead and give yourself a check mark if you had that minus 29 correctly on your paper. And another thing I want you to check is this negative 36. If you got something else here, it means you need to slow down on your subtraction facts. Negative 7 minus 29 is the same as negative 7 plus negative 29. When I have two negative numbers being added together, I'm actually going to add their absolute values and keep their sign. That's how I get negative 36. Put a check mark on your paper if you divided by negative 4 on each side. Is the solution m is less than or equal to 9 a solution that you agree with? I hope you said no, this is not the correct solution. Why not? I've got to flip the inequality sign in this problem because I divided by a negative number. Here's the correct solution. Once I divide by that negative number, watch how the inequality sign flips directions. So instead of less than or equal to, now it is greater than or equal to. M is greater than or equal to 9. Here are the solutions in your Google form. Go ahead and select the answer choice that matches our solution. Feel free to pause the video here to do that. Awesome, we're gonna move on to our last question. Question 4. Please solve and graph this inequality. 2 minutes are on the clock. Time starts now. About 1 minute remaining. Once you find your solution, double check it before you graph. Look for all those common mistakes. So look for your integer operations, like I showed in that last example. Think about the error that I showed in the last example, and try to avoid those two errors in your own independent work. 45 seconds left. Last 15 seconds. Select the graph the number line graph that makes sense. Awesome. I get a big clue from my answer choices. Maybe you noticed this. All of the boundaries of my answer choices fall on -1. So this is a big clue that my solution will have -1 as the boundary. I'm not sure which sign to pick right now. It might flip, but I know that it will not be less than or equal to or greater than or equal to. So I can go ahead and eliminate, I can cross out B and D because they have those closed circles. So that would mean that -1 is a solution. It's an inequality symbol with an or equal to, which I know I don't have in this problem. So I'm between A and C. This question is really checking. Did you remember, should you flip the inequality symbol or not? Okay. I hope you got it. Here's my work. My solution was x is greater than -1. Notice how my inequality symbol was less than, and then once I divided by a negative, it flipped to greater than. We flip the inequality symbol when you divide by a negative number. In this problem, that was true. Okay, go ahead and listen carefully for your question of the day. Your question of the day is, when do you need to flip the inequality symbol? There are two answers you should select. Today, we saw a lot of examples of dividing by a negative, but there's also another one. Go ahead and select the two answers in your question of the day. Then head on over to your independent practice. It is on assessments today, as I mentioned as I previewed. As always, if you need any help, office hours, and I will see you guys here tomorrow. Bye.